Welcome to day number 6. This is my favorite course in the course. Welcome to day number 6. This is my favorite course out of all of them. The reason is quite simple. It is the one thing that you can do behavior-wise that will change the results you get from AI most significantly in the shortest period of time. It's easy, it's simple, you just need to think about doing it. Now today, what we're going to do is talk about pivoting roles. Before we talk about that, I'm going to talk a little bit about your capstone project, which will give you a foresight in how you might pivot roles to do work more easily with AI. And then I'm going to show you the power of pivoting with AI. So let's start talking about your capstone. Your capstone has one goal. Take something you actually do, make it better, easier, or both with AI. The deliverable is build a GPT, a gem, a project, something that does some sort of an automation. Your job is to turn in your instructions and your data files. We have a GPT that evaluates. In fact, you don't turn it in to us. You just run it against the GPT, so all the data stays confidential to you. And what I'd like to do is show you an example, and it's a real one, how you might go about doing this step by step. This course has 20 homework exercises. In the live sessions, I could explain them and take questions. In a video course, I can't. So the challenge is, how do I make 20 homework assignments clear enough that nobody needs to ask? How do I make them useful enough that they really improve the content of the course? This is exactly the type of task to automate and improve with AI. Let me tell you about how I built it step by step. For me, there's typically 4 ingredients you're looking for. One, most importantly, is a clear objective. A clear objective gets you pointed in the right direction and tells you what you want to do and why you want to do it and what don't you want to do. I like to use something I built called a True North. If you listen to the Day 5 advanced course, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, here's what you need to know. A True North is a story plus an objective plus restrictions. The idea is to give you something so clear that as a human being doesn't need to ask for additional detail, or something so clear that the AI doesn't need additional detail. I built my True North, or my objectives for this, using the True North GPT. I talked with AI and had it ask me questions to clarify my thinking. Ingredient number 2 is data. Once I had my True North, I worked with AI to create a series of research questions and a full literature review. I did this to identify best practices in making homework exercises. And contrary to what you might believe, there's a lot of information out there. So just like we've been talking about so far in the course, I didn't give everything to AI and say, figure this out for me. I asked AI to merge it, to summarize it, and then I read things as a human being. That old-fashioned way where you actually print things out, underline things, highlight stuff. Ingredients 3 and 4 are the work methods and the target output. I built those interactively with AI. I thought about what I wanted before I described it. Then I described it and I uploaded the best practices. Then I asked AI to ask me questions one at a time to clarify my objectives and write up instructions how to work and a specific target output. I also used a secret shortcut. Well, it won't be that secret after this. I call it ping pong. What did I have after 55 minutes? I had a tool where I could upload a PPT. Claude asked me a few questions. Any ideas for the exercise? Anything you've seen you like before? A few clarification questions. And out pops 2 slides, homework, plus a demo. I also have a True North, so I know exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Now, the only way I could do this in 55 minutes was letting AI ask me questions. AI asking you questions makes everything go faster and easier than before. The ping pong bit helped me make sure I got it right. So let me tell you what about the ping pong. First is the ping. I did all my work on one LLM. When I got close to the end and I had something that was pretty good, I had this LLM, in my case ChatGPT, write instructions to get feedback from another LLM, which is Claude. I sent it to Claude, I got the feedback, and then I posted it back to ChatGPT and said, hey, these are the comments I got. Please carefully review them. For everything you agree with, no worries, just implement the change. But for the things you don't, ask me questions one at a time. Through this process, 55 minutes later, I have a working tool that does amazing stuff. And what you'll notice in this, I did a lot of things where AI was asking me questions rather than the other way. And that's the key thing we're going to talk about today. P is letter number 2 in Sparks. It's about pivoting. It's about stop only asking AI for answers, make it ask you questions as well. It can change, honestly, everything about the way that you use AI. In the last lesson, you learned how to steer AI through a problem space. Now, what happened before that problem space is you might have prompted the AI answered, it looked right, you moved on, later you realized you worked on the wrong challenge. You go back to find out where the process broke, and typically it breaks at the beginning. Not because the AI was wrong, but because you didn't ask the right questions. Now, most people assume a detailed prompt produces a detailed, relevant answer. It does sometimes, but usually not for complex work. Research across hundreds of knowledge workers is clear on this. Human beings are not great at articulating what they need without being questioned first. And now what's happening is we're getting help before we've been asked the questions. Pivoting roles moves the process from a monologue to a dialogue, and a dialogue can make all the difference. So here's the pivot in a couple words. Instead of simply asking AI questions, turn the table, have AI ask you some clarification questions. This will help you get clearer in your thinking, faster and easier. You're no longer the boss with AI as a slave. You're working together and building ideas together. This change radically changes the results you get. So every time you write a prompt, you need to think about what's happening. There is an intent formulation phase. This is the part about saying, look, what do I want to do? Human beings are not very good at this the first time out. Not because we're careless, but because the real stuff, the real internal thing, the constraints, the contents, the objectives, isn't just sitting there ready to be typed in. It's embedded, and you have to dig it out. And the problem is every constraint you don't articulate becomes a gap, and the gap becomes an assumption that AI fills for you. And those assumptions are where the output goes wrong. Questioning, effective questioning, closes the gap before the answer is generated. So the standard model is you ask AI answers. Flip it and ask AI to ask you questions first. The first one is fast. The second is slower, but it can give you better results. In mechanical design studies, designers who let AI question them first produce work rated much more feasible, much more useful, much more creative. The same AI, the same task, just a different way of doing stuff. The pivot isn't about which AI you use, it's about what the questioning surfaces in you before any output is generated. Now, there's a well-documented phenomenon called the self-explanation effect. When you explain your reasoning, even to a machine, your thinking improves. Now, here's why it works. When you explain something, you need to be clear. Clarity surfaces assumptions you didn't know you were making. These assumptions you surface become explicit constraints the AI can actually use. Answering the AI's questions isn't a delay. It's the work that you should do before you ask a question. That's where the thinking really, really happens. Now let's look at some numbers. There was some testing done on English proficiency. Standard prompting delivered an output rated somewhere 60 to 70. We flip the interaction, the scores go to 80 to 85. Same students, same material, different model. If you look at the designers we looked about before, same result, same model, different result. The pattern is consistent across domains. Deeper interaction produces better outcomes. Now, let me give you a short case study. There's a research team working on patent drafting. They were using something called TRIZ, which is a methodology for inventive problem solving. We're working on a specific problem, thin wall tube drilling. The standard model, where you gave ChatGPT the problem directly, the output was generic. There was no meaningful alignment with real patent solutions. We flipped the model around where AI was prompted to ask first, the AI asked, the expert answered. The resulting solutions mirrored outcomes in the final patent process. The AI didn't get smarter between those two conditions. The interaction got deeper, the expertise was added in. Frankly, that's it. That's all you need to know. And the only reason you need to justify pivoting roles. The whole lesson in one line. Now, there are basically two ways to use AI. Model A, you ask, AI answers. Output is fast, generic. The risk, the answer is built on your unexamined assumptions. Model B, you mix things up. You ask, but then ask AI to ask you questions. You clarify. The output is then grounded in actual constraints and objectives. The risk is it can be frustrating, and it takes effort up front. The question is not which model to use all the time. The question is which model matches the complexity of your work demands. For routine tasks, input, output, perfectly fine. But when a shallow answer carries real cost, the Model B is often a better solution. So here's the method on a real task. The input. You need AI to help you write a business case for a new product. 3 steps. Step number 1, give AI your task, but add one sentence at the end. Before answering, ask me everything you need to know to do this well. That one sentence changes the whole interaction. In fact, if you want to, take a screenshot of this. It'll change the way that you get answers from AI consistently. Step 2, answer the questions. Step number 3 is look at the difference the output delivers. What you need to remember here, questions first, output second. Clarification first, output second. So you got 2 models. You instruct, AI answers, fast, generic. Model B, AI asks you questions, you answer. It's a bit slower, but you'll get better results. That's the flip. That's the pivot. If you want to learn more, we've got 3 resources here. One is Rethinking AI Conversations, a podcast from Notebook LM. Epistemic Reversal, also a podcast from Notebook LM. And The Pivot, What Happens When You Change the Rules. Now, for each of these courses, I talk about the advanced course. Here's why you should watch the advanced course. We talk about how do you design the AI that interrogates your organization. And we show the power of asking through a case study. You have an expert leaving the organization. How do you capture their knowledge before it disappears? So what's next? This is going to be the best exercise that you're going to do in this course. I believe it could also be the best chat that you've ever had with AI. There are 3 steps. Step number 1, look at the prompt below and update it for yourself. What I want you to do is to look at ways that you can use AI more effectively in your work. Here's the prompt. Give me some information about yourselves, attach some relevant files. I'd like your help figuring out how I can best use AI to solve some of the most important business challenges. Ask me questions one at a time about our targets, current initiatives, constraints until you have enough context to give me a few obvious and few non-obvious AI recommendations. The magic here is not the prompt. The magic is AI is going to keep on asking you questions until it has enough to answer. Step number 3, check what comes out. If you want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, do this using my True North GPT and ask it questions to make ideas for your capstone project. There's a demo to help you do this. This is it. Off to the races. Cheers.